understand that it's not the failure of capitalism that got us into this trouble. It's capitalism that made us rich. It's big government and socialism that's impoverishing us right now.
Well, what about the part that you got to downstairs about how a lot of times the government regulations, rules and regulations work to the favor of the biggest players in a sector? That there's sort of regulatory capture.
Well, that's always what happens. I mean, regulation always comes in, and it always benefits the companies to the exclusion of smaller companies. I mean, I think it all got started with guilds. I mean, where companies would set up a society. Let's say we're lawyers, and we set up a group, and we say, hey, let's join this group, and it'll be like a certification that people know, hey, I'm a member of this legal society, that you've passed certain credentials. But then what happens is that the group gets friendly with the government and says, hey, why don't you pass a law and require everybody to be a member of their group, otherwise it's illegal for them to practice occupational licensing. And then once they do that, now they can charge more because they can keep competition out. But certainly in the regulatory bodies, especially something like a FINRA, which is a self-regulatory agency, but the government requires every brokerage firm to be a member of it. And a lot of the rules and regulations that FINRA enforces are rules that are handed down from the government, from the SEC. But it's very expensive and very resource intensive to comply with it.
So you need a huge compliance department.
Yeah, and if you're a big company, the compliance department, you can absorb the cost. But the smaller you are, the higher a percentage of your revenue those compliance costs are going to be. They were there 10 years ago, but since 9/11, and then since the dot-com bubble burst and the Patriot Act and all these things that have been passed. I mean, the clearing agreement. I'm in the process of changing clearing firms, and my first clearing firm agreement that I signed might have been 5 or 6 pages. Now it's like this thick, and like 3/4 of it is Patriot Act stuff. And the stuff that we have to do to comply with the Patriot Act. I said, Americans, all our personal privacy rights went out the window with the Patriot Act. I mean, no American doesn't have a shred of privacy left. We have, as a brokerage firm, we have to tell the U.S. government everything our clients do. We have to we are spies on our clients. We're basically IRS agents, FBI agents, unpaid, rolled into one. And we're doing all sorts of stuff. I mean, it's just, but it's very expensive. But the big firms, fine. They love it because now their brokers can't threaten to leave and start their own firms because they can't afford to.
So, what if you decide, if someone gave you the power to chop like 20% of the federal budget, what would go into that?
I probably want to chop more than 20%, but across the board, there are a lot of departments that I'd like to abolish completely. Departments like education or energy or agriculture. There are a lot of departments that we really don't need. And we're better leaving it to the states anyway. And so there's a lot of employees and a lot of things that are unnecessary that we can just get rid of. But we have to also go after the entitlements. We need serious reforms in Social Security, Medicare. The government has overpromised.
Because those are a huge chunk of the budget.
Yeah, and there's no money there. They're gigantic Ponzi schemes. The government's been running them. We know it's a disaster. Ticking time bomb. And we've got to address it. We can't just wait till it explodes.
Well, but won't most liberals sort of admit that they're taxing young people to? I mean,
no.
If you catch them in the unguarded moment, that they're just transferring wealth from young people to retired people.
That's why should we do that? What's the moral claim? I mean, why should people in their 20s, 30s, be paying these horrendous taxes to people that, in most cases, are a much wealthier demographic than they are, who didn't have to pay these huge taxes when they were growing up? So, we can't tax this generation, and if we keep taxing them, they'll leave. There's nothing that says they have to stay in America. There are other countries that will welcome them. So we need to be fair to the young generation. But we also have to understand that if we keep doing this, I know that we're going to destroy the dollar. And so Social Security is going to be worthless anyway. So people right now who are in their 50s or 60s, 10 years from now, Social Security is going to have no value. So if we pursue my policy, which is going to reduce Social Security benefits, but maintain the value of the dollar, then even though you might get a lower benefit, you'll have some value. The way we're going now, the benefits will be worthless. So what good is it?
So I'm sure you've been following Congressman Paul's stuff on working on the Fed, Capitol Hill, and he's made common cause with some people on the left there. Do you see in that department? Do you
Yeah.
see some opportunities there to work with people?
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, because Alan Grayson, who's working with him, I donated this campaign. I've known him as been a friend and a client for over 10 years.
Oh,
And
wow.
we've
Okay,
argued
I
on the
know.
phone many times because he's very liberal, but he understands money. He understands the Fed. He's a very bright guy. I don't know why he's as liberal as he is, and I've argued and kidded him about it. But there are some things that we can agree on, and overall, even though there's some things he's doing, like he did something on mandatory paid vacations, and he voted for, he went on in favor of a cap and trade or something. So but he's done some very good things in Congress as well. So it kind of balances out. Yeah, I'm sure that I could find some common ground. But as I said in there, I think there's probably a lot of Republicans that that feel the way I do privately, but they're afraid to express those opinions publicly. I think sometimes there's some ideology that drives people into politics, and they go, but the minute they get there, it kind of goes out the window, because I think what they think about is, well, I got to get reelected, and so if I say these things and do what I really believe, I won't get reelected, and a Democrat will get elected who will be even worse than me. So I can't do what I want, but I'll do something that's not as bad as someone who would replace me. They get into that psychology, but we don't accomplish anything. We just keep going down the wrong path. Maybe we go down it a little slower with the Republicans than with the Democrats, but we're still going there. I want to change that direction, and hopefully I can inspire other elected officials to say, hey, if Peter Schiff can get elected, maybe we can still get reelected. But even if we don't get reelected, it's okay because we did the right thing.
Mm-hmm.